All right, I'll start off real quick. Tanner Bordolini, he came in this morning with concussion symptoms, so he's currently in the protocol. And then as far as the other injuries go, we'll have the medical meeting tonight. I'll have more for you on other players Wednesday probably.
Take our first question from James.
I know you just said you got to wait, but do you know anything about Josh Downs at all in his shoulder?
I mean, I've heard, but I haven't really heard until we have the medical meeting, so we'll see.
Gotcha. And then the real question I had after that was about the just the run game. Jonathan Taylor, obviously, he's one of the most talented players in the league. So as you look at what's ahead of you, the offensive line, injuries, whatever, how do you find a way to keep him involved?
Again, it starts with myself. I think schematically, we got to look at some things on what we're doing to get that thing going because he is a very talented player that can, create the home runs for us. So we'll look at that this week, big time.
Jake.
Hey, Shane. Accountability has been kind of a common theme in recent weeks. Anthony, very publicly had to deal with that with the benching. There's been some struggles, so it's obviously not just him that's kind of going through some things. In what ways have you guys been able to keep some guys accountable who maybe aren't meeting the standard on the field?
Those conversations take place, obviously, in the meeting rooms. I think accountability has got to be at all-time high in this profession with everything we do. And so we got to hold ourselves accountable. We got to hold players accountable so we can be at our very best.
With that, are you guys exploring any lineup changes at all? Or is that in consideration?
I mean, we'll look at everything, Jake. We always look at that stuff. Yep.
Appreciate it.
Nate.
Hey Shane, just looking back at the game yesterday, how do you feel like Anthony played? I know there's a few different guys felt like his final stat line wasn't really maybe reflective of how he played. So what was your takeaway?
Yeah, I agree with that. I don't think his stat line reflected the way he played. I thought he played pretty darn well. Looking back at the tape, we had some big plays negated by penalties. But again, I thought he was efficient running the football. He threw it to the right guy, made the right reads. I know he missed a few that he wants back. But man, I thought he did a great job. I really did.
Kevin.
Shane, usually no turnovers committed, no sacks allowed is a recipe for success. What do you attribute that not only loss, but a 3-score loss?
I think the penalties were a big part of it. I think we've been pretty good with penalties, but I think we had 96 yards of offense called back on penalties, some big plays. I think when you create explosive plays, your chances of scoring points go up. And when those get called back, they're tough. So that comes back to fundamentals and details and technique that we got to get cleaned up this week going forward because we don't want to do make the same mistakes twice week in and week out.
What do you point to tight end wise? It's just been such a quiet year for that entire group.
Yeah, I think, we look at stuff every week schematically to get them the ball. And then sometimes it happens organically. And sometimes when you do schematically try to get them involved, if they take it away, Anthony's got to go to his next read. But every week we try to look at that, Kevin, and get those guys involved.
Chap.
Yeah, Shane, on the run game, do you have to kind of go to JT and say, be patient? I mean, he's got to be frustrated that there's not as much there or a chance to kind of break one. Do you deal with him or just kind of let him take care of it himself?
Yeah, I think it'll come, Chap. I really do. Obviously, it's been frustrating the last couple of weeks, but you keep sticking to the process and the grind of everything, and I think it'll come. Hopefully, it's this week, and we get that thing rolling.
Joel.
Shane, with Ryan out and Tanner in the protocol, would Danny Pinner be the next guy up at center? Is Gonzalez in there? Who's next?
Yeah, I think right now we're looking at Danny at that spot.
JJ.
Hey Shane, with Detroit being such a physical team, how did Anthony's running early in the game kind of maybe set a tone of physicality for the entire team?
It was great. Obviously, anytime we can get him going early in the run game, it helps our offense. The 3rd and 1 was obviously a big run. Popped a big one there. And then the second play of the game, he popped another nice one. And then to get down in the red zone, down to the 2-yard line was huge. So anytime we can set the tone running the football, whether it's him or JT, it helps our football team.
Steven.
Hey Shane, sitting here at 5-7, not where we want to be, obviously, but how do you think you can kind of define yourselves in these last 5 games? I mean, how much will that sort of, put a context on the season, I guess?
Yeah, you got a nice echo going there.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, no, it was solid. It was good. It was good. I heard you, though. Obviously, these last 5 games will be big. Right now, we got to take it, Stephen, one day at a time, one meeting at a time, one practice at a time, one game at a time to get to where we want to be at the end of the year. But we know this is a huge week for us coming up before the bye. So the fundamentals, the details, the attention to details are going to be huge, going into this week. And then coming back after the bye, get some guys back, hopefully, and be ready to roll for that 4-game stretch.
James.
Shane, when you look at just attrition in football, how much of it do you look at as like a reality versus like an excuse? It's hard. I don't know. Like you're a coach. How do you view it?
There's no excuses for anything. It's all reality in this profession. Like you got to go win football games. Everyone's got to, do their job at a high level to go be successful. And it starts, during the week. And I always talk about the preparation. I really do. And if you allow it to happen on the practice field, don't get mad when it happens in the game. So that's why I talk about accountability being at an all-time high. And that's where it's at.
And then what stands out to you about Danny? Obviously, you know him for a couple of years now, but what he could bring if he has to play.
Yeah, really smart, cerebral, very tough. Obviously been around here for a while. The guys love him. So, if he gets that opportunity this week, we're definitely looking forward to that.
And we'll take our last question from Jake.
Shane, you've obviously faced the Patriots with Bill Belichick and now not Bill Belichick this year in Foxborough. How weird is that going to be for you since he's been there? It was like a million years that he was in New England.
Yeah, I think I've played or coached in New England. I want to say maybe twice. Obviously, we played him last year, but a ton of respect for what Bill did in that organization for so many years. It was just impressive, the run they had. But obviously with Mayo being there, a lot of respect for him. Obviously there's some carryover there with what they're doing defensively. But it'll be exciting to go into Foxborough and go against the Patriots this week for sure.
Thanks, Shane.
Great. That was our last question. Coach, we appreciate your time.
All right. Thanks, guys.